Good morning. I want to talk a little bit about the Adventures in the Eastmark campaign. We took a week off. I had a lot to do, so we did not play last Tuesday. We will play this upcoming Tuesday, which is April 30th, I think, something like that. Anyway, um, so we're in session 4, and I had estimated roughly 6 sessions to complete this particular series, which is called the Shadow Magic of Adventures in Eastmark, which is our Eastmark Rangers campaign. And so, in the end of the last session, and because again we're playing a campaign, I have a logic map. I have actual campaign points that can be scored around the map based on the decisions they make, the things they do and change, and that affects maybe narrative information, or it affects how large armies or how powerful potential enemies in the future could be, etc., etc., etc. So it's not about winning or losing; it's just about the decisions they make. As this is, in a way, they're able to choose what they want to triage, what they want to do as these two rangers for the duke, for the queen. Okay. Um. Anyway, so what this is again, I did not know in session 3, the start of session 3, whether they would go to the castle and find out what had happened there, or if they would go to uh, Robleda, and talk to the Duke. I did not know if they would attempt to waylay the army in the woods. I didn't know what they would do, especially when they heard early in session 3 about the witch who took to her demon steed riding for the Black Forest, which is northeast of their current, 8 days northeast of their current position. So now they know there's this evil witch on a demon steed headed to the Black Forest. Okay, so I didn't know that they would go to the castle because, again, I don't railroad. I leave them open to decide what they want to do. So I had not prepared a mass combat. I was really not certain how I would handle siege in session if they wanted to siege the castle. I would kind of, again, when you have 40, 35 years of experience in D20, you can pretty much call on any of your old experience, any of your tool set, and come up with good rules if the book itself does not supply mass combat rules or siege mechanics, etc. So I was comfortable with having to do that on the fly if this would happen. But they ended up infiltrating the castle, and they are hiding in the gatehouse to lower the drawbridge for what's left of the Lord's militia, riffraff, local peasants, militia, and what few soldiers escaped. The castle asylum, which is the Lord's keep, has been taken by a Vissertani noble, noble cult leader, a nobleman, but he's a cult, Zamordok's cult leader, and he has an orc army, and they've taken the castle. And so they infiltrated, they snuck into the gatehouse, and they're waiting for sunup before they drop the drawbridge. They want to put the orcs at a disadvantage. And that was where we ended session 3. Now, of course, as I warned them, they are going to be 2 individuals in the middle of a mass combat to take back this castle. And so I'm excited. I look forward to it. But it gave me some time this weekend to come up with how I want to handle that. Again, last week I was too busy, and I was actually preparing a Conan game, and I ended up playing that Conan game, so I didn't get to Eastmark at all till literally Saturday and today, Sunday. So here I want to talk a little bit about what I'm doing. So first off, we know they're orcs, and we are trying to do rules as written best we can. So we know they are. This is the Eastmark book. I love Eastmark. This is my favorite OSR for a number of reasons. Number one, I love Tat Matrix charts. I love AC, descending AC. Anyway, okay. I don't want to get into all that. That's a review. I like saving throw charts. Anyway, I'm okay with these things that take me back to my youth. Okay. Let's get down here if I can. I can't reach it. Let's get down here to monsters. The goal is, okay, good, elementals. Okay, so they're an orc army. Right? They are an orc army. Let's get to the orcs. No. Okay, I'm wasting time. Let's get down here to the orc army. Okay, so I'm using the orc stat block, except I'm going to make armies, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. There's ogre, there's orc. Okay, so in my document, this is called Adventures in the Eastmark Session 4, Castle Asylum Assault. There are 4 units in play, 2 PCs, the Lord and his militia, and the orc army. Okay, This is a mass battle. Chaos surrounds our PCs, and all the units are ubiquitous. Therefore, we will not roll initiative. We do not declare actions before their turn. They just will act. Damage is actual kills for against the units, right? And finally, it's all simultaneous. I'm sure I misspelled that. I sure did. It's all simultaneous, right? There is no initiative. It is mass. I want to describe it as mass chaos. Everywhere they look are orcs and their soldiers fighting, etc., etc. So here is the Zamordax cult, our orc army, with the Vissertani noble leader, Alma Azir Amid. Again, we're going to stick with their AC of 6. However, I'm making them an actual HD level creature. They're going to basically fight this entire ubiquitous army in any way they narrate, all over the castle, the walls, the courtyard, etc. But ultimately, they, as well as the Lord's army, will be fighting one thing, right? And these HD will be its ability to cause harm and stress and exhaustion and damage upon both the Lord's army as well as the PCs. So I want this 10 because they're surrounded. It's chaos. I want it to be harder, easy, again, ultimately not harder for them to fight, but definitely it's more effective at causing them stress or causing them injury. So very dangerous. Now I'm going to roll their hit points. So one of the reasons I'm here is I want to roll the hit points here. Also, I'm giving them 3 attacks because this is it's not huge, but it's a big army. It's mass combat. And this attack lets this creature, so to speak, I'm basically turning in a mass army into one single unit. It's easier for us to do round by round combat that way. And then we describe how they're killing lots of them, etc. But they get 3 attacks. So what I've done is by giving them a better HD, higher attacks, consistent damage, and a much higher morale, it's pushed their XP value up. The normal XP for an HD 10 is 1,000. It's 700 for any additional abilities. So I basically said, well, they're at a -1 for daylight, etc. So anyway, I've come up with XP 2,500 for this when they win, and if they win, and they'll have to split that with the Lord's army as far as divided by 3, right? Two players, if they survive, 2 players, and this army will be 3. So this 2,500 would be about 800 each, right? Although it won't matter for the Lord. He's not going to level up. Okay. Anyway, but it would be divided unless these are wiped out and the PCs finish this and this guy's dead, which he very well could be. Okay. So they get 3 attacks. That's one of the features I've given it, right? That would be worth 700 points. I've given them consistent damage, although low, from 3 to 6, but it's consistent. That could be 700. I've given them a higher save. That could be 700, and morale. I could literally make this a 3,200 level creature, basically. Okay. That's too much. That's why I've tweaked it down. Anyway, so the point of this is this attacks can be an attack on the one PC, an attack on the other PC, and then a third attack on the army, which is also a single unit, right? Okay, so let's roll up the hit points for this army. Now we know HD for the monsters in Ismark is D8, so we're going to go roll 10D8. We'll see how many units are in this fight. 47, not bad. So that's going to be actually fairly easy for them. But again, they do say the average is about 5. If you want to multiply that, 1 kind of kills them, right? So if I change that 1, if I were to change this 1 to the average of 5, it'd be 51. And that's what I'm going to do because I want this to be epic. Now, what I've said here in the rules is the final 15 HP will be Amid alone, right? So when this war finally comes down to the last 15 points, it's going to be assumed that either all the orcs have been killed or all the orcs have what's left have run away, and he will stand alone. And then it can be, of course, his stat block, which is not listed here. His stat block is in my notes, fighting the PCs or what's left, or of course they can negotiate and get him to forfeit, etc., etc., etc. Right? So -1 to all to hit rolls due to daylight. So I think it's due to, right? Due to daylight. Anyway, which means every roll they roll that HD 10. Remember this HD 10 against. I think both of my players have an armor class of 4. So let's go take a look at how deadly this is going to be. They're going to suffer a minimum of 3 points of damage per turn, basically. They're going to want to kill this army fast, is the gist of it. It's supposed to be deadly. They're going to be stressed, and I cannot find the attack matrix. Here it is. So the monster attack matrix. So it's a 10 level creature, 9 to 11. They, I think, both have AC 4. I'm only going to need to roll a 7 and up with a -1 to hit. So I need an 8 and up for the most part to hit both of our PCs. So I could miss some. And then I'm going to do on the minimum of 3 points of damage, max of 6. So, you can see quickly in 5 or 6 turns, both PCs could be in a very dangerous position. Okay. And, but of course, they're going to have an ally, a large army here. Okay. So again, this is a riffraff, local, what's left of the local peasants and militia, as well as some of his leftover soldiers that had escaped. And Lord Wainwright himself. But again, we don't include Lord Wainwright's numbers in here until we get to the final 15 HP. And then it would be Lord Wainwright alone fighting for his castle. So I chose AC 7. Now Lord Wainwright's AC, I think, is 6, I think. But anyway, AC 7 for basically leather armor. So I'm basically accounting for what the local militia would not have, which is armor. We're talking pitchforks, clubs, torches, right? Short swords, whatever they could get. But Lord Wainwright, I think, is a 6. So I'm meeting it in the middle. I'm giving them all 7, right? The HD is 5. So let's roll up the HD of this creature. They are all humans, right? They would be, humans would be, I think, just HD 6, right? Roll 5. Now I'm making them a creature, so they're going to get D8, of course. And they have 17 hit points. Now that one I'm going to throw out and put it at the average, which is 4. So they're going to have 21. I'm going to give them the same thing I gave. And this is about right because I told the players at the end of session 3 that he had about 25 total people with him. And I told him that in the fort was about, they could estimate about 50 orcs. So this is right on roughly what I told them as far as, remember, every damage point will actually kill a orc. Right, and only the last 15 will represent a Ziramid at whatever his stat block is. And then, of course, here it was about 25. I think I told them roughly. Well, some won't fight, right? Some won't. So, anyway, they get 1 attack. They do damage equal to, and I'm giving them a fat damage because that accounts for Lord Wainwright's sword. So I'm really giving so they get 1 shot at it against an AC 6, and they'll do between 1 and 10 points of damage, mostly based on his leadership and his weapon. Right, so instead of punishing the militia, so in a way I get the militia here, and I get the militia here, but I give them a chance to do some pretty good. And again, they aren't necessarily trained. The soldiers have already witnessed the orcs and how the orcs have murdered most of the castle guards and hung them from the walls, etc. So all of the morale for these things are going to be pretty low. And both rangers could improve this once the battle starts by their actions. Again, there will be no XP because this is an NPC unit. And of course, they don't have any negatives. But the last 15 HP will represent Lord Wainwright. And again, they have their own stat block. So he'll be stuck with 15 hit points, but he'll have his stat block. And vice versa. This would get down to the final 15. For Amid, if there's a final sword fight or something, and he will have his own armor class and his own damage, etc. So that's how I'm going to handle the 2 units for the mass combat as one large entity. Now, what this also means is, then you say, well, where's move in this? Move is in A because it's ubiquitous. I can't believe I can spell that. Did I spell that right? Ubiquitous, right. So again, move here. Movement is in A because it's ubiquitous. Now again, what this is meant to represent is every single turn, they just narrate what their actions are. I'm going to run to the wall. I want to run to the stone keep. I'm fighting from the guardhouse. Now remember, they are in the guardhouse when they'll drop this. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll choose not to cut free but they're hiding there until the sun comes up, so they can drop the drawbridge, and the Lord's men can come up the drawbridge into the castle. So the combat will start on the walls, the drawbridge, and the gatehouse, and the PCs will have to fight their way out of the gatehouse they're hiding in. So that's my prep right there. I've prepped for the entire session. And why is this all I need to prep? Because once this is over, or if it ends in the session time we have, obviously there will be the PCs will play. They'll role play with the Lord if he survives. They'll role play what to do with the situation, and then they're going to decide what they want to do. Do they want to travel north and report to the Duke? Do they want to chase down this witch who's got a 5-day head start on them? By the way, right? I'm keeping actual date and time, so this witch has almost 5 days on them in an 8-day ride toward Black Forest. So they're 5 days behind to catch this witch, right? Anyway, there's all kinds of stuff going on in the world, so I don't know where they're going to go from this because it's open world in a way, sandbox, and I've got a logical map and I have things all over the map that can activate, so to speak. So that's it. This was my prep for the game Tuesday night, and then we go from there. Let's see here. What else did I want to talk about in the rules? Nothing. I think I'm done with that. I have used Roll20 to roll publicly these hit points, so I'm going to log out of this. Don't need to be in here anymore, right? And there you have it. That is my prep for Session 4. It's going to be a mass assault of the Castle Asylum on behalf of Lord Wainwright. And there we have it. Done. All right, everybody out there, have a wonderful week, wonderful weekend, and a wonderful week. And anyway, I will have a recap and hopefully actual play of the Eastmark Session 4 sometime Wednesday or Thursday. Thank you. Bye.